This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now, views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we do encourage you to like and share them on social media. Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce now presents Joanne's World of Nutrition with Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having a phenomenal morning. I am just really revved up this morning. I am super excited for my guests, and I have to admit, so if you are tuning in because you saw my post on Facebook, it says I have Cheryl Myers and from Terry Naturally, but I was wrong. I got my guests mixed up because I'm being so blessed with guests this month. So it is Bert from Positive Power Nutrition, who is a welcome back guest. He's been on many times. I absolutely love him. I use all his products. And so if you are tuning in from Facebook, still stay on. You're going to love Bert and all his info. And let me just change this headset real quick. Here we go. Okay, I can hear myself now. Yeah, we're changing headsets here. So if you're watching live, it looks like we're having a little game over here. All right. So, all right, Bert. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. So I feel like we're old friends. All right. So it starts with the car ride in. And I got up extra early because it's a gorgeous morning here in, Florida. It's like 63 degrees, clear. All the dogs are out enjoying the patio with coffee. And I get in the car and I get one of those scam calls about that I'm late on my credit card payment. And it says like it's Comenity, which one of my cards is on that. And it had just enough info to get me kind of hooked, but not enough where I was ready to give him, my debit card to pay the bill. And he said this weird name of the store, but, my husband's in the passenger seat and he's looking up. He's like, yeah, it's a real store. And I'm like, I never heard of it. So now I'm thinking someone scammed my social and made these new cards. And now I'm like, so I'm getting a little rattled. I'm trying to breathe. I'm trying to stay patient and calm. But, I'm driving, so I can't really access much. Well, sure enough, an hour later, got to the bottom of it. It was a total scam. And, man, they were good. They were good. I got to give them that,
The anti-scamming people, they're getting better, though.
Oh, well, I hope so, boy.
YouTube search out girl scammers. And you know what she does? She uses the Siri voice. She changes her voice to sound like Siri or Alexa. Or one of those Google appliances.
Yeah.
And she does a real good job at it. And she messes them up so bad. I think she's also a scammer. When they scam into her machine to rip her off, she reverses the hack into their machine and deletes a bunch of their files. And it's fun to watch.
Well, that is cool. And sometimes I always say, let me keep them on the phone so they don't hurt someone that's not as, wise as me. But the problem with this one, they gave me an 800 number and an extension. Normally they don't do that. So that's when I got concerned like it was for real. So
plus, sometimes they'll tell you got a refund coming for something, and it's a scam because they accidentally refund you $5,000 instead of $50. And then they want you to go buy gift cards to pay them back the money they lost.
There's so many scams.
Yeah, it's a scam.
Oh, so Bert, I did mess up, I guess, because of that mindset. I was just like discombobulated. So I posted a beautiful picture of Cheryl from Terry Naturally on my Facebook. So there we go. But it's you. I'm thrilled it's you. We have so much fun on the radio together, don't we?
Yes. It's something I look forward to.
Awesome. All right. Well, I got to just tell my listeners, all right, so we have Bert Golding and Junior, Positive Power Nutrition on the line with us. Guys, really pay attention because he has a wealth of knowledge here, and we've covered this topic, but I think it never gets old. This story never gets old. It applies to every human being and the environment, animals, so really, this is definitely there's going to be part of this conversation that you'll definitely probably have the aha moment every time I talk to Bert. No matter how much I think I know, he says something, I'm like, wait, what? Really? Okay. So yeah, so I definitely learn something every show. So I can't wait to what you teach us today. But why don't you start with just in case we got some newbies, which I'm hoping for listening. Oh wait, we got to do the breathing. All right, I'm gonna try to get grounded, Bert. I need to take my shoes off. I need to breathe.
Her shoes are off.
Yeah, the shoes are off. Even though my legs are so short, I can't touch the ground. Okay. All right. So let's do the breathing exercise, everyone. So newbies, welcome. We're going to exhale out any drama, stress, prank calls, scam calls, and then we're going to breathe in patience, calmness, joy, gratitude, and relaxation. Relax those shoulders. And we're going to do only in through the nose for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5. And I know Bert will be doing with us. He's a big believer in breath work as well. So let's do 2 rounds just so we can get right to the conversation. All right, you ready, Bert?
Yes.
All right, exhale, everyone.
Everybody. Okay, begin intake through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you, Cliff.
Negativity gone.
All right. So, Bert, let's tell our listeners all about you. Why don't you start and tell a couple minutes on who you are?
Well, I have worked as a clinical nutritionist here in Southern California for the last 15 years now. And before that, I did my graduate work in nutrition from American Health Science University out of Colorado. They were the institution that has graduated more certified nutritionists than anybody else, almost 50,000 nutritionists. And I've had a chance to work with people using the BioMeridian machine. It's a bioelectrical impedance measurement machine. So it's computerized, and it helps determine how to balance out people's supplements and food and shampoos, soaps, water, everything in their life. So that's kind of my background. And at Positive Power Nutrition, I helped formulate all of our newest products, but the ones that have been around for 72 years, like Cell Power, I wasn't around to formulate those, but they have helped millions of people. And Super Silica has been around for 63 years. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, beautiful. And I love how you mention when you work with your patients that you're like, you talk about shampoo and stuff. Some of my listeners would be like, why is he bringing up that? But tell them why you would consider that part of their, program. Like, why are we discussing shampoo with the visits?
There are so many inputs into the human body, and it ends up programming us one way or the other. So, there are shampoos that are more compatible with an individual or not, but there's anything. People even bring in their medications, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't switch their medications or tell them not to take them, but we can find out if it's supporting their health or if it's not. And if it's not, I'm bold enough to just say, hey, you need to go back to your physician and see if you can get maybe a generic version of this, or maybe they can switch to a different kind of medication, because you don't want to have any inputs into your physical body that is not supporting your health. If it's not supporting or improving your health, you just need to get rid of it. Sometimes, you were asking about shampoos, sometimes it's more important as to what we eliminate from our lives than as to what we add into our lives.
Definitely, that burden of toxicity. And, everyone sometimes overlooks the idea that the skin is an organ and it is going to take things in, whether you're spraying a perfume or putting something on your head, shampoo or lotions. So I'm going to start the conversation with Silica, your Super Silica. We sell the spray and now that wonderful spray, I'm going to call it an anti-wrinkle gel or spray. I don't know. What is it officially called? It's so
anti-wrinkle serum.
Okay.
And it's not thick like a gel, but wow, man, I've started to use it recently because of another male employee here that has just seen wonders. And I thought, okay, I need to start doing this every day. And I have been now for about 2 weeks. I can notice a big difference when I look in the mirror.
Yeah, I'm on for about 2 weeks myself, and I don't know why I call it a gel. I know it's not a gel. So I do the silica spray first, so the skin's moist after the shower, and then I do one spray on my chest and then one spray on my hand, and then I pat it on my face. Does that sound like a good protocol?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't need that much. It'll take more sprays of the super silica to get my face and neck damp, but then after that it takes very few sprays of the anti-wrinkle serum to put right over there while it's still damp, and wow, it's 10 times stronger than the spray, and it helps the body create collagen right where you need it in just a couple of days. People usually start to notice results by the 5th day that they're doing the program. So,
well, I think I'm looking about 25, so I lost 30 years. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I feel great, though. I mean, I really do. You know, when I look in the mirror, I try not to read too much into things that make wrinkle claims, but I really do feel like the skin is looking more like the word supple. What is that word females use?
Yeah,
supple. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely more of that, but I am curious, Bert. Every time I spray and put it on, I kind of put this power into it where I put it in the hairline, like I'm kind of pushing it up on my forehead. Could that help? You know, because I'm thinking silica is good for hair, skin, nail, bone, skin. So
definitely, yeah. With the anti-wrinkle serum, since it's 10 times stronger than the, I used to use the super silica topical spray on the crown of my head and anywhere that my hair's kind of thin, but I've been using the anti-wrinkle serum now in that area, and you'll feel a tingling. Every time I put it on, I feel the tingling on the forehead and on the parts of the skin that really, really need it. But it's interesting. Silica is so important for hair, skin, and nails, but it's also important for flexibility. So when you use the word supple, it creates skin that's soft and flexible.
Oh, and that's what we need. We definitely feel like we're losing that as we get older. So now you mentioned 64 years that the super silica has been around. So obviously the safety is right there in the numbers. So right now collagen is huge, but can you tell the listeners why, really the conversation should start with silica?
Well, because your body uses silica to make collagen. So when a person is taking collagen supplements, the body needs to break down the collagen to its basic components and then rebuild human collagen, because obviously these supplements are not human collagen, but silica is absolutely important to that process and to actually get more, rather than just saying breaking down the collagen capsules that a person's taking and then rebuilding the human collagen. But when you're taking the super silica, you'll actually get more. It multiplies the effect. So one capsule does more than one capsule's effect or work.
Okay, so I do not only the spray, not only the wrinkle spray, but I also do the super silica liquid. So I want to let our listeners know you have all those amazing products available at my store, and I love how convenient it is. I think everyone's starting to really look into liquids now. I feel like between gummies and liquids, which liquids are definitely healthier than gummies. The last thing we need is to have more added sugar in our diets. So tell us about the super silica and how there's an advantage to having that in the liquid and how exactly to use it.
Yeah, the super silica drops are a dietary supplement, and so you put it into your drinking water. And although I still have, maybe a third of the people that call in and say, oh, I put it in my smoothie or I put it in this herbal tea or whatever, still the absolute best absorption is if you put the drops into purified or distilled water. You'll still get the silica if you put it into your smoothie, but it won't be the 90 to 95% absorption, which makes super silica so unique. It's about 60 times more absorbable than, say, silica from horsetail herb, if a person gets that in a capsule or a tablet. So the super silica, 12 drops in 16 ounces or more of purified or distilled water. And ideally, the optimal dosage for an adult would be 4 servings or more per day. So it's interesting when I run a very powerful natural weight loss program, and I've done those seminars all over the country and get people going, and I train chiropractors and others so that they can help all of their patients permanently lose the toxic fat that's in their body, and it just changes their life. But one of the biggest components is the super silica. Before they can even start the 3-month weight loss program to lose up to 34 pounds and keep it off in 3 months, they would need to be taking at least the 4 servings of super silica and a gallon of distilled water, and do that for 10 days before they start the program, because it's setting up the body to be able to get rid of toxins.
Wow, you definitely have my ears on high alert right now. Okay, so weight loss, the $1 billion industry. We've never discussed that on the show before, but it's definitely something I need to discuss with you, because menopause hit me hard in that area. So tell me, your program, is that something that I can offer my customers? Is this something like a workshop, or is this like you can buy products and follow a protocol?
Well, you can learn how to do the workshop and do it for the people that come into your store, but it's practitioner-based because it uses a homeopathic formula, which of course is a liquid. So it uses a product called HBH, HB for hormonal balancing, H for hypothalamus. So it's an advanced hypothalamus support formula, because it's the hypothalamus of the body that controls our weight.
Definitely. And I love the hormone balancing angle, because definitely know that's an issue for myself and many women that are, menopausal or postmenopausal. So, Bert, is this something that I can order from you, or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, oops. All right. Are we all awake now? We're good? All right. Woo. All right. It's just one of those days, Cliff. It's one of those days. All right. Okay. So, yes. All right. So, all my listeners know that I will be getting this protocol and finding out about all this and definitely ordering it. Wonderful. So, 3 months is the program?
Yes, and a person can do it if they have more than 20 to 34 pounds to lose. They can do it more often than that. But the big key is that you're focusing on the hypothalamus. So once the hypothalamus gets balanced, every person that's gone through the program, if they're on thyroid medication from their doctor, they get completely off their medication during the first 2 or 3 weeks of the diet program, and they do that with the blessing of their endocrinologist. But it's just the fact that the hypothalamus controls everything from the size of the largest organ of the body, the size of your skin. If you're losing weight properly, you'll never have any extra hanging skin on your body. Doesn't matter if it's 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 pounds. If you're truly losing weight that will not come back, if you're not just doing a yo-yo diet, but if you're actually going to lose the weight and not have it come back, your body will know that, and it will retract or reduce the size of the skin day by day. So when I get phone calls from chiropractors that are saying, I can't believe it, one called up and said, my wife's been doing this program. He says, I can tell it's different than anything she's ever done in her life. And I said, well, because she doesn't have any extra skin. And he goes, no saggy, baggy elephant. There's no extra skin. but the reason that the body will not retract the skin if you're doing it wrong is that, it's a hard process to build new skin. So the body's not going to reduce the size of the skin if it knows it's just going to have to rebuild it back to, because you're going to gain all the weight back. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I see the skin going, hey, we've been down this road before. I'm not going to get fooled again. I'm just staying right where I'm at and getting ready for it to come back. but
Yeah.
but so this is crazy, Bert, because I must be shifting with my belief system, because normally I would never discuss wrinkles on my show, and I would never discuss weight loss on my show, because I feel like we are inundated with all this stories and commercials and products, and that's why it's a $1 billion industry, right? But you, I trust, so I will discuss it for sure. All right, so I definitely will have a conversation with you, see how far I can take this information with my customers, because I'm sure many of them are like, oh, Joanne, yes, please. I need help with that area. So I will lead by example, and we'll go from there.
Well, and we started talking about it because you asked about super silica, and like I say, is that silica as an essential trace mineral really helps support and strengthen the kidneys. So the reason that people have extra weight on their body, believe it or not, I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, no, I've already heard everything about weight loss. Well, no, you haven't. The reason that we have the extra weight is not just that somebody may be eating more than they need. That's one small component of it. It's that the elimination in the body is not functioning correctly, because the only way that we get rid of weight is through elimination, through the kidneys, through the colon, through our breath. Whenever a person has really bad breath, without even any further analysis on our computerized equipment or anything else, I can already see, I have this feeling that you have weak kidneys or a weak colon, because if you can't get rid of the foul-smelling toxins through using the bathroom, then your body is still going to try to get rid of them through the lungs. And so it's, some people call that potty breath or something. It's this idea that you don't have good elimination. And then the last thing is it will try to get rid of it through the skin. And so you end up seeing psoriasis and eczema and rashes and all kinds of crazy things, because you have all of these poisons that your body only has two choices: to eliminate it, preferably through the kidneys is number one, or colon 2, 3 lungs, or 4 through the skin. But if it can't eliminate the toxins, then it has to store it, and it stores it with fat all around the toxins. So each little fat cell, it's a different kind of fat cell. It's not a fat cell that you would keep your whole life. You only keep it as a package of fat around a deadly toxin that you can't get out of your body. And that's why we're still alive. Everybody complains about, people are just huge and we have such an obesity problem. Yeah, I know, but they're still alive. They just, in times past, they just would have died.
Yep.
From the amount of poisons that they're exposed to.
Yep.
I mean, we're exposed to, as you know, 5,000 or 6,000 different poisons every single day.
Yep, it's our bodies adapting to it, just getting larger and larger to, somewhat protect us, but at the same time hurting us.
Right.
So, well, this is definitely, I agree with everything you just said. I have been, saying that story for a long time, because I definitely have seen evidence of that. So super exciting, Bert. Like I said, every time you tell me something new. So I guess that's today's takeaway. So we'll definitely converse more about that. Now silica. So some of my listeners might be like, okay, never heard of the silica, heard of the collagen, but how would I know if I'm deficient? How would I know if my body needs more silica?
Well, there are so many silica deficiencies levels that are visible in people, which, if you go back 25 or 30 years ago, hardly anybody had these symptoms. But symptoms of severe silica deficiency, first of all, what is silica? It's an essential trace mineral. So you don't need a lot. It's like out of all the minerals in each of our living cells, whether it's bone cells, blood cells, vital organ cells, whatever the 50 trillion cells that make up an adult, these living cells have to have silica in every single cell, but it's not like a percent silica. It's a very, very tiny fraction. We're talking parts per million or parts per billion, but if any cell loses all the silica, that cell dies. Okay, and if you've got too much cell death going on, you've got real problems in your body. So silica is an essential trace mineral. We would find it in the largest absorbable quantities in brown rice, We would find it in raw cabbage coleslaw. So if you're, grating or slicing up cabbage and putting it together with, turnip and beets and maybe a little bit of carrot and other things like that, and having that with a fresh dressing that you make, that's an excellent way to get it. Brazil nuts, whole wheat, but people just don't eat those things on an everyday basis. So the silica deficiency levels that you're asking about, first, you'll see it in damaged hair, skin, and nails. Second, you'll see it in a lack of collagen, especially in hanging skin. When you put your arms out to the side and the skin's just hanging down, it means there's not enough collagen to hold the skin and the fat to the muscle or the ligaments. You'll see it in wrinkles. -3, because if you have all the silica you need, your deficiency is 0. You don't have a deficiency. But at -1, it's damaged hair, skin, and nails. -2 is wrinkles and sagging skin. At -3, you'll see sensitive teeth because you don't have enough silica for your teeth. Silica is used to make the enamel on the teeth. Bones, you'll have bone density problems. At -4, you've got all kinds of arthritis problems, muscle problems, and it goes all the way down to 11 deficiency levels. So by the time you're at -5, it means you're seeing spider veins and varicose veins. And now we're seeing spider veins in young people all the way down to age 18 or 17. And it used to be that you would only see it in women that were 80 years or older because they'd lost that much silica during their lifetime. And now we have young adults that have lost so much silica by the time they're reach young adulthood. That's at -5. By the time you get into -6, 7, and 8, you're seeing irregular heartbeats. So a lack of silica will lead to unexplained arrhythmias and tachycardia. You'll start to notice it in brain fog and short-term memory loss and dementia, and Alzheimer's, and all of the brain functions that are not working because with a lack of silica, the body allows aluminum to get into the brain cells because aluminum takes the place of silica until you get the silica back. As soon as you have what the brain really needs, which is silica, it lets the aluminum go and it leaves your body. By the time you're up to -10, you've got everything from unexplained fibroid tumors, the so-called autoimmune, lupus, Hashimoto's, all those things. It turns out that the autoimmune problems really stem from a severe deficiency of silica. I mean, very, very much. I mean, it's autoimmune means that you're really on the edge of not having enough silica to even stay alive. And by the time you get to -11, we're seeing things like high glaucoma pressure. The intraocular pressure starts to go high because silica is what keeps the eye pressure normal. And, out of all of the cells of the human body, the cells that have the greatest amount of silica, percentage-wise, are the macula cells. So that's right in the center of the retina. And it's, what covers the optic nerve. And it's because silica has the ability to grab onto light and pull it into the eyeball.
That's cool. Very
cool.
I
mean, we think we just open our eyelids and the light just floods in. But really, it's the silica in the macula and in the retina that actually pulls in almost like a science fiction tractor beam. or maybe it's not so much science fiction anymore. There's a lot of those things that have actually been created by scientists. But you've got these 11 levels, and so it controls so much of what the body's doing. Flexibility in the arteries, flexibility in the intestines. For anything in the body to remain strong and flexible at the same time, silica is required.
Okay, now say some of our listeners are getting super excited about the silica, and even the first, like the first cup, -1, -2, they're thinking more of the wrinkle in the hair. Is there any worries about toxicity if they take too much?
With the super silica, there's not. Now, if you're doing silica from horsetail, is a limit. If you take too much horsetail tablets, then you end up with something called horsetail syndrome, and doctors really concerned about that. But when you're getting it from super silica, which does not come from horsetail, and it's such tiny particles, and each particle has a positive charge, there's really no physical way that a person could take too much. Now, 4 servings of 12 drops, as long as each serving is a pint of purified or distilled water with the 12 drops in each serving, 4 is sufficient for people to see all 10 or 11 levels of deficiency resolve themselves in the first year of taking the super silica every day. But a lot of people go much, much higher. The ophthalmologist who found out that it was able to reverse the high pressure of glaucoma actually did more like 10 to 12 servings a day with one of his patients. And after 5 weeks, the pressure had come back down into a normal range. But that has to be under a doctor's care.
Gotcha. Well,
but as a dietary supplement, you don't have to worry about overdoing it. It's the one mineral or one supplement that does not really have a toxicity level when you go really high.
that's great. And the one thing, too, like I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, 64 years, time really does matter. It not only shows that people are using it and getting benefits, but it's also very safe. And so that is important for everyone to remember that not to buy something with a quick story on Facebook or, the internet. Always know who's making these things, how long, and, what the consumer use is. You want to make sure you're using safe products. And that's why I always have Bert on the show to not only use his clinical nutrition experience, but also just what he's selling is the good stuff and very reasonable. I mean, if you really break down the cost of your products per day and how many uses each liquid bottle gives you, they're very economical as well. So it's to me a win-win. When these customers buy these $100 creams for wrinkles, I kind of take a deep breath and be like, oh my God, you could have bought 4 bottles. Like, what the heck, But yeah, so I hope that everyone listening kind of thinks inward, reflecting outward first. But all right, so silica, I think we definitely really covered it. I definitely am enjoying it. I'm looking forward to maybe upping my dose. And I love that all your products, Bert, encourage drinking more water. I find that these days, not sure, maybe it's my clientele, but really difficult to get them to drink enough water. So I love that you encourage that. But I definitely have to get into the cell power conversation because I got a question for you. Okay, so when people, this might tap into what we can't say, so just let me know. But when people get diagnosed with cancer, they are super overwhelmed because their neighbors, their friends, everyone they know is either sending them info or giving them info, and they just, it's, boom, overwhelmed, right? So a friend that's, working with me, his friend gave to him the sodium bicarbonate and, of course, Googled it. And it does, make, some promises. So I wanted you to, if you could discuss cell power versus doing that. Is that okay?
Yeah. The sodium bicarbonate, people are doing that because they think it's going to help them get pH balanced, and it can't. What it does is it destroys the digestive system. So I know it's really sad that people are still doing that, but that could accelerate a person's demise if they have really serious cancer. And so what you want to do is you want to get pH balanced, so at least people are kind of on the right track as far as, cancer, once a person is truly pH balanced, meaning that all of the clear fluids their body has done on a fasting saliva test. And you don't have to fast for 24 hours. You just need to make sure you haven't had any food or beverage except for pure water for at least 3 hours. And then you put saliva into a spoon. You take a clinical grade test strip and you put your pH test strip in there and you see if you're pH balanced. If you're slightly alkaline, which is between 7.1 to 7.5 on the pH scale, and I'm not talking about a roll of litmus paper because that won't be precise enough, and it's not it will not give you the true results. But if you're testing your pH and it's slightly alkaline, and it stays that way, it only takes 48 hours before all cancer goes into remission.
Wow, that's amazing.
So to do that, thinking that they're going to get there faster, people will mix, baking soda into water and drink that, and it if anything, that'll make your body more acidic because the body reacts. It's not like putting it into a test tube. Yes, if you mix up baking soda into water and you add that to a test tube of acid, you're going, oh, it made it more alkaline. But our body's not a test tube. One of the audio CDs I created like 10 years ago, there's a chapter on the audio CD that talks about our body is not a test tube. It pushes back. If you try to force your body into alkalinity, it will actually release more acids in order to fight what can be more dangerous. Alkalinity, over-alkalized, if you get up into the 8.5 to 9 range on your clear fluids, you'll die much faster than a person who's too acidic.
Wow. All right.
I know to talk about it for just a few minutes on the radio, maybe it'll create more confusion than it helps people, but you just need to look at it. It turns out that out of all the things I've wanted to author in my life, the one thing that we did is we have the #1 best-selling pH balancing guide for humans in the world. We're at 1.8 million copies. So there's 250 different authors that have written something, but no one's gotten close to 1.8 million copies of it. It's really inexpensive because we don't want anybody to say, oh, I can't afford to learn the truth about pH balancing. So it's 1,000 pages of information condensed into 4 easy-to-read pages, and it's $2 for each of these guides, but it will help you be able to do a 3-step easy protocol for getting pH balanced. And pH balancing is the best way to combat cancer. Now, if you're under a doctor's program, then you must review this with your doctor. If you already are under medical care, you must do that. A lot of people say, oh, he won't understand, I'm not going to tell him. No, you don't have an option with this, because with pH balancing, you will be feeling so good and you will look so good that there's a chance that you will be overdosed on prescription cancer things like chemo or radiation. There's a chance that you will be, the doctor will just keep upping the amount of chemo or radiation on and on and on, thinking that you can handle it because you look so healthy. So you can't just do a program.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I understand the point. Okay, gotcha.
The way that a doctor doses it is it's kind of like an anesthesiologist. An anesthesiologist is giving you chemicals that they use to put an animal to sleep. The vet will use the same chemicals to put a dog to sleep. Now, it's not just to sleep. That's basically to euthanize an animal, to kill them. Now, an anesthesiologist is paid more than the surgeon in the operating room. They get paid more per hour, more per year, because their job is to deaden all the senses of your body without you ending up dead. So they have to get you as close to passing away as possible so that you don't feel or remember anything from your surgery, but not let you slip past the point of no return. So,
yeah, that's an important job. That's my nephew's job. I totally, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
By far the most important. You do not want somebody that is not focused and looks away from the,
oh my God,
the dials and gauges in the middle of your
Which you hear
surgery.
those stories. I mean, most people say, if I could just get it done without the anesthesiologist, because they're just so scared of going under those chemicals.
Yeah, and so what you've got is that the same type of a thing is that most oncologists, what they'll do is they will keep increasing the amount of chemo drugs until a person looks like they're almost going to pass away, right? That sounds kind of like an anesthesiologist, almost, but not quite. So they're looking at you, so they're counting on you not to go do your own program in the middle there. So if you do a program that makes you feel so good, they're going to, oh, they can handle more. Oh, they can handle more. They're just going to keep increasing it until you finally come in where you can barely walk across the office and barely make it into the exam room. So you don't do a wonderful program that makes you feel better without bringing everybody into the loop. I can't say this enough. I've said it twice now. I can say it 10 more times. You must keep everybody in the loop. You can't be a person that just says, oh, no, my doctor won't understand, so I'm not going to tell them what else I'm doing. You have to tell them what else you're doing. They'll say, well, they'll tell me not to do it. Well, you've got a choice to make then. But you cannot have a stealth program going when you're dealing with something that is so serious.
You are so right, and I'm totally the queen of stealth. So I totally get it now. I never now a lot of the people that I deal with are choosing natural more functional medicine versus the chemo and radiation. It's by their choice, walking in saying they already decided that. But yes, I totally agree. If you got to keep everyone in the loop, that makes so much sense. And
okay, and let's say they decide to go the natural way. So they have a naturopath that they found, right?
Right.
Or they have a homeopath or a holistic physician or whoever it is. The same thing applies. You must keep them in the loop. I have so many other people that say, well, I'm already doing a program for my naturopath, but I'm going to do this protocol too at the same time. I go, it won't work. And they're looking at me like, what? And I said, you can't do 2 or 3 programs at once if they're major programs. So, you're going to have to choose which one to do first. And everybody's like, I can't choose, so I'll do them all. That's a recipe for failure. You can have 4 good programs that individually, each one of those programs will be successful. You mix them together, failure.
Wow.
You must choose. You must pray about it. You must come to a decision, and you must choose your program. Everybody goes, oh, it's instead of this idea like I'm just going to cover all my bases. Well, I'm sorry. If a baseball player gets out there and tries to cover all their bases at the same moment in time, all they can do is cut the person up, the ball player, and put part of their body on each base.
So in this conversation, more is not better. Okay.
No, you could do it all sequentially. When they say cover all the bases, it means the ball player that's running around, make sure that he actually touches the bag on first base and touches the bag on second and on third, and then makes he touches the plate at home. You can do it sequentially, no problem.
But
you
Bert, how would they know when to
moment.
move to the next one, though? Like, so say their first base was cell power. How would they know when they're ready to, like, advance to, the different thing that they wanted to try?
Well, if you can find somebody that does muscle testing or has a machine that's the biomeridian we use is like muscle testing, but it's more accurate in that you can't fight against it. I was taught, in all my nutrition courses how to go ahead and using a person's elbow or hand or arm to, it's called kinesiology. Muscle testing, everybody thinks that, that's not mainstream, health anymore, but it really is. Turns out the U.S. Navy is hiring graduates in kinesiology, and most every university in the United States is now adding classes in kinesiology, and a lot of them have 4-year college degrees. So kinesiology is the technical name for muscle testing, and if you have a way to do it, you'll know how to move on. Otherwise, stick with your physician. Like I say, make that choice. If it's a natural choice, that's great. But again, you have to be careful that the person who's telling you to do 5 programs at once, if they say that, then I would maybe check out a different health professional to help you, because it can't work. Okay, I've said that enough, right? I mean, you must
definitely,
do
yeah,
things sequentially.
Yeah, I definitely think you got all of our attention. Very passionate about that one. All right,
yeah,
cool.
And I'm not saying this as a doctor because I'm not a doctor, but as a clinical nutritionist, what we're finding is that the human body can handle maybe 30 or 40 or 50 different supplements during a 12-month period. But I have people that come to me and they'll bring to me a box of 35 bottles of supplements to be tested because we can test it against their body and see what their body needs now. And so in a 1-hour exam, we can find out just exactly what they need now. We're not asking what do they need in 6 months, but what do they need now? But when they bring in a box of 35 different supplements, they clear out all their cupboards, they bring it all in. A lot of times I'll ask, are you using this all once? Oh, no, I brought in everything. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. But if they're using, they say, well, I take all 35 supplements every day. The hardest thing is to get them to say, you can take all of them, but let's not do it every day. Let's allow your body to choose sequentially how to cover all the bases and not try to think you can reach and touch all the bases at the same moment in time.
Wonderful. And we do that as well at the store. We do encourage people to bring in at least every 3 months their programs so we can test them to make sure everything's still working for them. And I definitely am pretty popular around town for, saying less versus more. So I really do try to simplify for people. And I know I have one customer, she literally had to bring in one of those storage containers, like the big plastic tubs. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, what? Oh my gosh. And thankfully I had told her to bring everything, because sometimes people just walk in what they bought from me. And I'm like, no, I want to see everything you're doing. So, yep. And we do work with the machines as well. And so definitely on the same page there. All right. So,
the people in your area, Joanne, are so lucky to have you right there available to help them do that. Because like I say, it's not that they won't get to all of the supplements. If they're a good quality, there's a chance that they're going to get to them and need them at some time during the next 52 weeks. But it doesn't mean that you can overload your body, because your body has to process the instructions that each supplement and each input gives you.
Yeah, and I definitely want to stress once again that be careful what you buy. Make sure it's a reputable company. If you can't find out who manufactures it and where and how, then do not buy it. Don't just buy the story. Stories are made up. That's why they call it a story. So don't buy the story. All right. So Bert mentioned earlier about the phenomenal book that's only $2. I do have it at the store. And I also have the pH testing strips, which are definitely so easy to use. So if any of these things, again, affordable at the store, 10% off every day of the week. So definitely come in. And now we are going to cover in case someone's new. So you said a big broad statement about alkalinity, how important it is. What are some signs if someone is running acidic beside cancer? Like, what are other more subtle signs that someone should look out for?
Yeah, blood glucose goes crazy. I've had some people that they test their glucose every day, and it's 150, 220, 310. I mean, in 5 days in a row, it's just all over the place. As you start to get pH balanced, it smooths out. And a lot of them say, well, it is a lot more consistent, but it's not in the perfect range yet. And I go, well, I'm not saying in a week it's going to get in the perfect range. But when you get rid of the excess acidity in the clear fluids of your body, then that means that the pancreas can work better, that all of these organs start to function better. I mean, you've got vital organs, the heart. I mean, if you're truly pH balanced and you only measure it once a week, sometimes that's the most difficult thing for the doctor patients that are referred over to me, as a nutritionist to help them get pH balanced. A lot of times they want to test daily. And they've read someplace, like you say on the internet, somebody said, oh, you should test 3 or 4 times a day and write it all down and put it into a formula and get out your calculator. No, just once a week you want to get a snapshot. My wife and I do it on Sunday mornings. And so when you are pH balanced, it takes all the stress off the heart. It's literally impossible to have a heart attack or a stroke if you're in the healing range of 7.1 to 7.5 on your weekly saliva pH test. No one has ever had a heart attack or a stroke. So if you really want to have a heart attack or a stroke, then stay in the acid range. But if you don't, you're going to want to move over into the completely safe area, which is 7.1 to 7.5. Why do we say that? But by the time you get to 7.6 or 7.7, you've got to look and say, okay, what am I doing wrong in my life? Because it's so rare to be too alkaline. So if you're too alkaline, and it's not because you're drinking really high pH alkalized water or doing something that could force your body into a dangerous range. But if you're too alkaline, you've got to find out what it is. Acidity is very common. In the United States, out of all adults and adolescents, we've got 95% of the population. It was true 15 years ago. It's still true today. All the work in the last 10 years, I would think I'd make a dent in it, but apparently not. We still have 95% of the people that are below 7, 6.9 or lower. No one really gets lower than 4.5 because then, everything stops, all the organs stop, and they just die.
That's the bright yellow color, right?
Yeah, it's actually orange. By the time you get down past yellow, down into the orange, and that's where I started. The first time I tested my saliva pH was 17 years ago, and I was 5.25. That means that my body had as much acids in the clear fluids of my body as 100 healthy people all combined. So I was 100 times too acidic. And mine was mainly from stress. So people are wondering, why am I so excited when you do the deep breathing exercise at the beginning of your show? Because that'll at least get you out of the danger range. Stopping and doing deep breathing can bring a person back from the edge of a heart attack or stroke.
That's right. Bring you to alkalinity, even though it only lasts 10 minutes. But your product will last, if you do it consistently. You said once you fix it, it can stay that way for a while, which is awesome. But, Bert, we only have a couple more minutes. Can you stress upon a lot of people that we work with say, but Joanne, I'm not willing to stop my coffee or my sugar or my soda habit. Can they still correct their pH with Cell Power if they are continuing to make those acidic lifestyle choices?
It's possible, but it's rare. And here's the interesting part is that I can't make a blanket statement for millions of people, but guess what? You get to find out for yourself. By doing that weekly pH test, you'll find out. I've had some people that say, well, I was able to get pH balanced and still have a half a cup of coffee a day. I said, well, that's great, but don't go recommending that to all your friends because they're going to have to test their own pH once a week, and if they're able to do it, great. But if not, at least I said, well, could you give up coffee or the excess sugar for just 5 weeks and get pH balanced? And a lot of them say, well, yeah, I could do it for 5 weeks. Okay, then do that. Get pH balanced. After your pH balance for, say, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, then try adding back in those acid-forming things that we shouldn't be doing. But try it, and then as you're still testing weekly, you'll either say, yeah, my body can handle that, or darn it, my body can't handle that.
Right. Well, and I know, and I think people, really want to make better choices, but I think when their bodies feel tired, weak, we make incorrect choices. So all your products are geared to making the body work better, smarter. Oh my gosh, Bert, we got to have you on again. We're running out of time. Holy moly. Have a phenomenal day. I hope you and your family are well. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll talk to you real soon. All right, everyone, have a phenomenal week. Cheryl, I hope, will be on next week from Cherry Naturally. And I hope everyone has a phenomenal week. Get out in nature, do some breath work. Bye.
This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.